Hey guys, happy Thursday. Welcome to today's Anchor Voices. We are in week 15 of the Anchor reading plan, and I'm going to be sharing a thought from the passage in Joshua for today. I'm going to be really honest and say that as I've read the last few chapters of Joshua, it's been really easy to skim through them as just a bunch of names and places that really don't mean much to me. It's a bunch of people being given land and cities and a lot of pasture land. I guess they had a lot of sheep and other animals. And I think it's really easy to skip over or skim through all of it. But there's a few verses at the end of chapter 21 that show the significance of all of these chapters. They are the culmination of Israel's journey and struggles based on promises God had given Abraham. So in Joshua 21 verses 43 through 45, it says, "So the Lord gave Israel all the land he had sworn to give their fathers, and they took possession of it and settled there. The Lord gave them rest on every side according to all he had sworn to their fathers. None of their enemies were able to stand against them, for the Lord handed over all their enemies to them. None of the good promises the Lord had made to the house of Israel failed. Everything was fulfilled." So up to this point, the nation of Israel has been through a lot. They conquered the land of Canaan, driving out existing nations and taking over the land. They crossed the Jordan River, like literally the water stopped and formed a wall so that they could cross. Casual. Before that, they wandered through the desert for 40 years, waiting for God to signal when it was time to move on. And before that, they were a nation of slaves living in Egypt, super oppressed and just going through so much hardship and toil. But God had a hand in all of it, like he does in our lives. He made promises to Abraham, and all that Israel had been going through was God bringing about those promises. God promised to bring Abraham's descendants back to a place that he had set aside for them, which is why it's called the Promised Land. And the whole book of Joshua, including these last few chapters, have been God fulfilling that promise. Verse 45 says that none of the promises failed, that everything was fulfilled. And this is the same God that we serve today. He makes promises to us as his children, just as he made promises to Abraham about Israel. And just like with Israel, he will fulfill those promises in ways better than we could have planned for ourselves. He promises us that he will meet all of our needs, that he will never leave or forsake us, that he has a purpose for us. And remembering how God has followed through on these promises in our past helps us to cling to these promises in the present, especially now when these promises are probably harder to cling to than they have been before. When I struggled to believe that he will provide for my needs, I remember the times that he's given me exactly what I need in the past in better ways than I could ask for and with better timing. When I'm feeling lonely in this time, I think of the friendships and community that he's given me. I think about my Anchor family and table groups that are still happening, and of all the coffees and pub trips that will happen when all this is over. And when I begin to fear that I'm not worthy because of my mistakes, I think about the way that he's already redeemed my past, called me worthy, and given me a life worth living. God's promises are a foundation that we can build our lives on the same way the nation of Israel was built on his promises. He fulfills it all, and we can cling to his promises as we're in the wilderness and fight the battles before us, knowing that God holds it all, that all his promises are good, and that they will come about in ways that we could never imagine. So that's all I have. I hope that you guys are having an amazing day and that you have an amazing rest of the week and that you're able to really lean into the promises that God has made and spoken over your life.